If you're a cattle farmer, knowing when a cow is pregnant isn't just a small detail, is it? It's pretty much the foundation of your entire operation. It changes how you feed, how you manage the herd, and let's be honest, how much money you make. So let's get right into this. How do you know, and how can you know as early as possible?
But before we get into the how, let's talk for a second about the why. Just think about this question. Every single day that a cow is open when she should be pregnant, well, that's a day she's costing you money. She's eating feed without contributing to the future of your herd. So what's the real price tag on that uncertainty?
Well, the number is pretty staggering. By shrinking that calving interval, the time between births, you can save up to 6,000 rupees per animal. That is not small change. That's a huge figure that hits your bottom line directly. And that's exactly why we're talking about this. The stakes are really, really high.
And that gets us to the core of it all. Figuring out pregnancy early isn't just something a vet does. It's a critical business decision for you. The faster you can pinpoint which cows aren't pregnant, the faster you can get them rebred. That shortens that expensive open period and just makes your whole farm run a lot more efficiently.
So, for decades, farmers have basically relied on a couple of tried and true methods. These are the established ways of doing things, the ones many of us grew up with. But while they definitely work, they come with their own set of pretty big challenges. On one side, you've got rectal palpation. It's a direct, hands-on check. And yeah, it's accurate if you have a really skilled technician, but it can be stressful for the cow, and there's even a small risk of harming the embryo. Then, on the other hand, there's ultrasound. It gives you a fantastic visual, no doubt, but that equipment is expensive, and you need special training to use it, which puts it out of reach for a lot of farmers.
And all of this leads to a pretty game-changing question, right? Both of those methods mean you're depending on an expert and you're spending a good bit of money. But what if you could take control? What if there was a simple, affordable test you could do all by yourself right there on your own farm? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into now, because there is a simple, effective alternative that's getting a lot of attention. It's called the sodium hypochlorite test, and it could honestly be a revolutionary tool for farmers everywhere.
So what is this thing? Well, the sodium hypochlorite test is really just a straightforward chemical test. The basic idea is that you mix a special solution with a cow's urine. If she's pregnant, there are compounds in her urine, most likely hormones, that cause a reaction you can literally see with your own two eyes. It's simple, it doesn't bother the cow much, and it is incredibly cheap. And the process itself, it could not be simpler. Just 3 steps. First, you collect a fresh urine sample. Easy enough. Second, you mix 2 parts of that urine with 1 part of your sodium hypochlorite solution in a little test tube. And the last step is the easiest. You just wait. Give it up to 5 minutes and watch what happens. That's it. Reading the results is just as easy. If it's positive, meaning she's pregnant, you're going to see a whole lot of fizzing and foaming. Plus, a white kind of chalky-looking ring will form. That's your clear yes. If she's not pregnant, you'll see pretty much nothing. Very little foam, no color change, and no ring. The difference is night and day. Now, you're probably thinking, a simple DIY test can't be that accurate, right? Well, take a look at these numbers, because the research is pretty surprising. It has a sensitivity of 97.4%. That means it's fantastic at correctly identifying cows that are pregnant. Now, its specificity, catching the non-pregnant ones, is a bit lower at 73.3%. But the overall accuracy is a super impressive 92.4%. For a test this cheap, that's remarkably reliable. Okay, so the test is simple. It's accurate, but where do you get this 16% sodium hypochlorite solution? Well, this is the best part. You can make it yourself. Let's get into the practical side of things. And you don't need to track down any weird chemicals. The key ingredient is just standard bleaching powder, something you can find in pretty much any market. That's what makes this test accessible to just about anybody. So here's the recipe to make 1 liter of this stuff. You'll take about 250 grams of bleaching powder and dissolve it in some water. Then just keep adding more distilled water until you get to 1 liter. Give it a really good stir and then just let it set for a while. You'll see the gunk, the insoluble salts, settle at the bottom. The last step is to just carefully filter or pour off that clear liquid from the top. And that's it. That's your testing solution, ready to go. So, the DIY test is a fantastic, super low-cost option, but it's not the only other choice. Over the last few years, a whole market of modern, pre-made rapid test kits has started to pop up in India, and they offer a whole other level of convenience. These kits are really the next step in on-farm testing. Companies have figured out how to package all of this into an easy-to-use kit that gives you fast, reliable results without having to mix anything. It's all about putting powerful tools right into the hands of farmers. Let's break down some of the options out there. You've got BovEasy, which uses a blood sample, you get a result in less than 20 minutes, and it's over 98% accurate for around 250 to 300 rupees. Big Nano is pretty similar, also a blood test, 98.3% accuracy, and costs about 323 rupees. And then there's AniEasy, which uses a urine sample, kind of like the DIY test. It has a high accuracy rate and sells for about 399 rupees a kit. So now you've got a few options, right? The traditional methods, the super low-cost DIY test, and these convenient commercial kits. The real question isn't about which one is best in general, but which one is the best fit for your farm and what you need. Let's just put them side by side. The DIY test, the cost is just unbeatable. It's very low. The accuracy is good to high, about 92%, but it does mean you have to do a little prep work. The commercial kits, on the other hand, cost a bit more, but they offer extremely high accuracy. We're talking over 98%, and they are ready to use right out of the box. So the trade-off is pretty clear. It's cost versus convenience and that little extra bit of accuracy. And you know, at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. It doesn't matter if you go the DIY route or buy a kit. The goal is the same. You want to reduce uncertainty, cut down on those costly open days, and make your farm more profitable. The fanciest test in the world doesn't do any good if it's just sitting on a shelf. The best method is always going to be the one you'll actually use consistently. So I'll leave you with this last thought. Take a hard look at your own operation. What's the number one priority for you and your herd right now? Is it keeping costs as low as humanly possible, making that DIY test the perfect choice? Or is it getting the highest certainty you can, making a commercial kit a really smart investment? The right answer really does depend entirely on you.